Hey, everybody. So, I be listening to that in the background and I be back here just jamming, just doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? So every time my little theme music come on, I be just back here just jamming, waiting for the screen to come on and get live and in action. So welcome, right? hmm It is Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. Of course, my voice doesn't want to, act right now that I'm live. It was fine all morning and now it's a little dry. Probably because I turned the heat on. It's cold. Is it cold where you are? You know what? As a matter of fact, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm here in the A. Shout out to Georgia. It is bipolar for sure. Definitely bipolar. It is November. And I promise you, we wake up and it's like 40 degrees. And then by like 11:30, it's like 78. Like, it don't know what it wants to do. Okay, just different, especially coming from up north, us northerners. We're very clear. We have two seasons. We have winter and spring, like spring, fall. That's it. We don't really have a summer. Anyways, welcome. It is Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. I am Ayana Henderson. I am an emotional healing coach. I'm so excited to join you today. I love doing these Warrior Wisdom Wednesdays. I think it's been almost 2 years now that this has been going on, and I'm just incredibly excited to continue to share and impart whatever wisdom I can with you all. And I'm just glad to be here. I'm just glad to be here. Let me just do one thing while I got things going. I'm going to go ahead and share this to my community. Shout out to the Warrior Womanhood community. Hey y'all. It's a free community right here on Facebook, on social media. So we are there, and I just wanted to make sure that I am live and in action in that community as well. So, what do I do? So I help Black women expedite their emotional healing journey, and I do it in just 6 months. I don't believe it should take us all of our lives to heal from, emotional trauma. I understand that there are some complexities, but it really doesn't take that long to get over a huge chunk of it. I only know it because just like those hair commercials, I'm not also the president, but I'm also a client. Amen. Somebody, I've been through this. This is a proven system and a proven framework that I coach women through. And I'm so excited to be able to do this work. So what is Warrior Wisdom Wednesday? Warrior Wisdom Wednesday is where I just come on for maybe about 30 minutes and I impart some wisdom to help you do and be better just as a woman, right? To own that, to win in womanhood. That's really it. And so for the last 3 months of the year, I focus on three things: the power of your voice in October, the power of your value in November, and then the power of your vision in December, because I believe that you don't have to wait for the ball to drop to become a new you. Like, we don't have to do that new year, new me. You can just walk right into the new year being you, being awesome, being great, right? So today we are talking about the power of your value, and we're talking about your inherent value, right? What do I bring to the table? So there's been all this talk, all the buzz, all throughout social media about what do I bring to the table? What can I bring to the table? Be the table, Lord, just all the things around the table. And so what I'm realizing is that when we're talking about being the table, or what do I bring to the table, we're talking about what value do we add? How do we add value, right? We want to be invited to the table. We want to sit at the table, or we want to create our own table if we're not being invited to the right ones. But a lot of times we get stuck because we're not exactly sure what it is we actually bring. And so this is why I want to talk about inherent value. Like, how do I know what I bring to the table? How do I know my value? How do I know my worth, etc.? Right? And so, you know me, I have my earrings on, y'all, today. These ones you gonna learn today. You see that, y'all? You see that, y'all? Yes, you finna learn today, right? So if you follow me, you know that I love to give actual definition, because it's one thing to get out here and just, do a good lie, but I also want to teach and make sure you're walking away with some substance, right? So inherent, it's the existing in someone or something as a natural or inseparable quality or characteristic or right? It's the innate behaviors they come at birth, right? These are the things that you kind of can't get rid of. It's a little different than learned behavior. So learned behaviors are behaviors that are acquired by experience or learned from an outside environment. So we're not quite talking about the learned piece, but we are talking about like inherently, what do you bring to the table at birth? Like these are the things, right? And so it's important to know that all human beings or persons are understood to have an unconditional inherent value or worth that they can never lose. You know, my coach says it this way: your value never runs out. Like that's the dope part. Like your value absolutely never runs out. And so what are some examples, right? What does that look like? What does that sound like? Right? So for example, one of them or a couple of them are things like happiness or love. You ever have like you have a baby, or maybe a friend of yours or a family member has a baby, and they're just a happy baby, like they're just genuinely happy. Like that's inherent in their being and who they are and how they show up in the world. Right now, there may be some experiences, some trauma that we go through that changes and shifts that, but from the womb, right? These are the inherent things about them. Like they can't change. Like it's just who they are. It exudes them, right? And so when we're asking the question, what is it that we bring to the table? I want you to think about it in terms of this. If you strip away all the credentials, all the titles, all the roles, your financial status, looks, etc., right? What's left is your inherent value, right? These are the things, like it's my nerdyism that's my inherent value. This wasn't learned over time. It's just I had a genuine curiosity for things, for life, for people to understand, right? I'm a natural cheerleader. I'm always trying to encourage somebody or, be there for somebody in some way, shape or form. Hospitality, right? Helps, teaching. That's why I get on here and I teach and I preach, because those are the things that are just sort of natural to me. In other words, these are the things that we call our gifts. These are the ways in which we are put into the world to be able to help, to be able to be different, to be able to just show up as our unique and our authentic self. These words are jumbling with me today. I'm not exactly sure why. But child, we gonna keep it moving. Okay, somebody. Okay, somebody. Right. And so these are your natural gifts, talents, and abilities. Like they just come to you naturally. You ever have people who are just automatically creative, or they can paint beautiful pictures and like didn't have to have any technical training? Maybe they did just because they wanted to brush up on a skill, but it's more so because that's in their inherent, like it's given to them. There are people who are super organized, people who understand systems, people who understand technology. It's just who they are, right? And that's how they actually show up. They'll say things like, I couldn't help if I tried, or I couldn't stop if I tried, because it's naturally who they are. When people come into contact with me, they experience a joy. And at first I couldn't quite understand it, but now I realize I can't help that. I want to say hi. I want to smile. Can I give you a hug, please? Can I pray for you? Like those are all the natural inherent things. And sometimes we suppress those things because we believe that it's not valuable, that it's not worthy. We believe it's the things that count us out. We believe it's the things that, we want to shrink because we believe that it's not, popular. It's not cute. It's not this. Me being a nerd, me being wanting to teach, me getting up here and giving you definition and giving you terminology and then giving you chapter and verse to support that didn't seem popular to me, right? It was reserved for pastors, not a lay person like myself. But it's inherent in me. That means that even if I wanted to not do it, I couldn't really stop it because it's actually who I am. So when we're asking these things about what do I bring to the table? How do I create my own table? So I remember when I started to do these lives 2 years ago. And I was like, God, I don't even know people aren't going to want to hear from me. People aren't going to want to, like, they don't know me. You know what I mean? I don't have all these fancy credentials. I have an associate's degree. You know what I'm saying? Like people aren't going to, I don't have all this, worldly wisdom, wise wisdom, biblical wisdom. I don't have all of these things to get out here and teach these things. And he was like, but you do. but you do, because you decide to do word studies, because you decide to really pick apart a passage of scripture so that you can really understand it, because you and Google are best friends and you be looking up all kinds of things. He's like, you have a wit because you are a natural student, right? I remember my mom said she called me a professional student. And at first I was like, what you mean by that? Like, you throwing shade at me, mama? Like, what you trying to say? And so God had to reveal to me that it's, it's a student, it's just a person who loves learning, who loves understanding, who loves knowledge, who loves to get clarity on things, who's not afraid to ask the questions until she's clear, until she really understands, what's working. And so for you, that may show up in your creativity, in your organization, in your gift of administration. Maybe you're just a natural encourager. Maybe you just offer your home and your services and your resources. Maybe you're the connector. Maybe you're the person that, gets people to where they need to be. You're the in between. Maybe you're just a natural personality. You're the life of the party. And people look for your engagement. They look for your energy. They look for you to shift rooms. These are things about you that even if you tried, maybe it's your humor. Like my dad was a natural storyteller. Like you could ask him a question and the response was always going to be a story, no matter what. And in there was the wisdom and the advice and the answer that you were seeking. And he had this natural tact and this natural way to go about it. For me, I like to break down complex information so that it's digestible and people understand that it's applicable to me too. I'm not a fan of all the fancy big words to sound super educated. In fact, let me break it down so that everybody understands, right? Why can't we all get the knowledge? And so that is a gifting of just mine. And this is what Warrior Wisdom Wednesday is. It is my ability to break down complex, emotionally based information into bite sized tidbits that are digestible for everyone to understand, to know that God applies to me too. That's really it. That's really it. And so we all have within us this inherent value, this thing we bring to the table. So the next time you're asking yourself, what is it that I bring to the table? How do I create my own table? I want you to think about all the things that you actually shrink, all the things about yourself that you think other people can't stand, or they've made fun of you, or you've tried to, put that to the side so that you can do the more popular thing. I want you to think about those things because it's in those things that you're going to find your inherent value, right? The gifts that you naturally have, right? I'm always going to encourage, no matter where I go, no matter who I meet. I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to help somebody. Like, these are my top gifts. I'm always going to extend a helping hand. I'm going to create an environment where people feel nurtured and welcome. I'm always going to teach. I'm always going to teach. And this is where I say, I may not be for everybody, but I am for somebody, based on who I am, based on how I show up in the world, right? And then also, I'm also going to organize and streamline things and create strategy and systems around how things should flow. I'm all about workflows and efficiency. That's also a huge, imprint of mine. And so I want you to think about those things about yourself that you think nobody's going to care about this. It's not going to matter. It's not going to, it's not going to really affect anybody. I promise you, those are the things that you bring to the table. Those are the things that nobody else can do. My mother will always say to me, I wish I could do X, Y, and Z like you do. I wish I was, a people person like you are, and you can just talk and connect with anybody. I wish. These are all the things that you bring to the table. So the next time somebody gives you a compliment on something that you're doing that seems very basic to you, understand this is part of what you bring to the table. And I would suggest or encourage that you actually bring, or write it down somewhere, put it on a little sticky note, do what you need to do there so that you can just remind yourself, if you dress vibrantly, like color, like there is no color under the sun that you probably would not wear except for like black. And the black has to be infused with some sort of, like, people admire that. It brings a sense of joy to the world. It brings a sense of like, wow, she's so beautiful. Like, wow, she managed to put the, I couldn't put that together if I tried, right? Keep doing it. Keep showing up with your, like, keep showing up in your most authentic ways. These are the ways that God has designed you. And these are the ways that He expects you to show up because He's poured it into you so that you could be and do what He's called you to do, be who He's called you to be. There's a reason why I get on here and I teach and I do definitions and I try to break it down. It's because it's how I'm designed to be. That means nobody could undesign me this way. Even if I stopped doing Warrior Wisdom Wednesday, I probably still wouldn't stop being a professional student. I wouldn't stop looking up words. I wouldn't stop looking up definitions. I wouldn't stop studying these things. So even if somebody tried to take these things away from you, a platform, your painting, your whatever it is, you still couldn't stop doing it, like, because it's just who you are. Now, again, we're not talking about the learned behaviors, trauma responses, ways of being because you're trying to prove something to somebody. We're not talking about learned habits over a course of time. We're literally talking about peeling all that away. And at the very core of who you are, this is how you show up. Every time, it doesn't matter what room you walk into, it doesn't matter, what you're doing, who you're talking to, where you are, you're going to show up this way. I'm probably going to tell a joke. I'm probably going to tell a funny story. I'm going to pray over a couple of people. I'm probably going to make a couple of people get emotional and cry because I'm going to expose some things, right? But then I'm also going to dance. I'm going to have a good time. Like, these are all the things that you're guaranteed to get when you experience me. So think about that and even ask yourself that question. How do people say they experience me? How do I show up in other environments? Think about when you're in conferences, when you're at the store, when you're just out and about and you're strolling about, when you go on vacation. How do you know, what are the consistencies that you see and you feel comfortable doing it? Like, I don't get on here and be like, oh God, nobody's going to listen to me because I'm going to teach. I get on here excited about the things that I'm going to teach. I spend the 20 minutes before we go rehearsing what I'm going to say because I'm so excited about who's going to have a breakthrough, whether they're watching it live or whether they're going to watch the replay. Shout out to the replay watchers. I'm just saying. Like, because you only get to be you. So why not show up as you? You don't get to be nobody else. So you might as well be the you that you were designed to be. Like, because it's so much easier. Like, it lifts a weight. It just shifts everything in your life. When I was trying to perform because of what I believe people wanted from me, it was exhausting. Like, does anybody feel that way? I mean, comment in the chat, like, me too. It was exhausting trying to be everything to everyone. And when I finally decided, like, I'm just going to be me. And that meant as a mom, I still show up as a teacher. I still show up with helps. I still show up with hospitality. Like, I spend a lot of my time in the general areas of the house so that the kids can always access me if they need to. Now, I know how to shut it down and I know how to say, I need to get work done. I need, quiet time. I'm going to be in my room. I'm going to have some. I did that yesterday. I did that for maybe 3 hours yesterday, where I was like, guys, I'm about to go in my room and I'm going to shut it down. Okay. Okay. And that was it. Right. But I also know how to be in the presence of and not feel like I don't want to say engage, but I don't have to go above and beyond myself to make someone else happy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Right. And so once you get into a place where you're comfortable in your own spirit, when you're comfortable in your own being, right? Not just beyond like my skin and how I look and things like that, but like when I'm comfortable being the student, when I'm comfortable being efficient, when I'm comfortable being the organizer, when I'm comfortable being, in my own preferences and in my own way without feeling like I have to conform somebody else to be like me in order to accept them. Like, I can just be me and you can just be you, and that's okay. And that's okay. And I know how to ebb and flow with the energy. So I know, like, if you need space, I'm gonna give you space. If I need space, I'm gonna take the space. But I'm gonna show up as me. right? That's what I bring to the table when they talk about it in relationships, when they talk about it in work, when they talk about it in business. These are the inherent pieces of you that you consistently show up with, regardless of what the circumstances are, regardless of what the challenges are. These are the inherent ways that you are going to be you. So we ask the question of the overarching series, like, what is the power of your value? This is part of it. Like, if I don't get up and show up on Wednesdays, there's going to be somebody who needed a word who won't get it. So I do that because this is the power in my value. This is the power in my teaching. This is the power in my exhortation, being an encourager. If I was at two events over the last week, and both times I had to pull people aside and say, I got to pray for you. People I didn't know, people I had never met in my entire life. I poured into women who had that, like, shrinking themselves, and I could see it. And I even had like the weight of somebody's struggle on me. It like was literally on my being for almost a full day. Actually, it was the full. I woke up with a heavy spirit. I couldn't figure out who it was, who God wanted me to speak to. Finally narrowed it down, figured out who it was, and it wasn't until I think 9:30 that night that I actually was able to pull this young lady aside and have a conversation with her, because her spirit was so heavy on mine. Like, that's what I bring to the table. So think about the things that you do naturally. Are you a high fiver? Are you a like, hey girl, hey, you know what I'm saying? Are you always checking in on somebody? And sometimes we feel like those are the things that are taken for granted and people don't appreciate what I do for them and X, Y, and Z. And God is like, yeah, but that's how I designed you. So they're not really designed to appreciate that thing because that's how I designed you to be. Like, there were a lot of things that people didn't appreciate about Jesus, but he still did them. It was still him. Right. So it's my understanding, like, if God is going to be God, then Ayana needs to be Ayana and you need to be you, period. Now, you don't have to be rude. You don't have to do, exaggerate, be dramatic, cause, create and hurt people. You don't have to do those things when I'm saying you be you, because sometimes that seems like a permission slip to just be out here acting crazy in the streets. I promise you, I'm not signing that permission slip. You didn't hear that from me. I'm not telling you go do that. That's not what I said. Okay. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that the world needs you to be you in your most authentic way that you can show up as you. All the things that you try to hide about yourself, or all the things that you try to mute about yourself, or mask, or pretend, or perform, stop doing it and just show up as yourself, because that's exactly what we needed. That's why you were designed the way that you were. And people may have made fun of it because they didn't understand it, or people may have accused you of being X, Y, and Z because they were in a place that their brokenness wouldn't allow themselves to receive it. That's okay. That's them. That's not you. You still have permission to show up. And in fact, you're required to still show up in the ways that you are authentically designed to show up, and be okay with it, and be fully okay with it. So I'll sign that permission slip. Show up as you. Show up with the value that you actually have. Don't shrink it. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to conform it. Don't perform for likes and validations and clicks and follows and all those different things. Like, I'm always going to show up this way. I'm always going to show up this way. And I want you to do the same. Right. So I'll leave you with this last final thought, because, I don't like to be before y'all too long, but, you can get a whole lot out in about 20, 25 minutes. And let me say this: your worth always exists. I'm going to say that again. Your worth always exists. Just like my coach, Dr. Dean, says, your value never runs out. The value will always be there. The value will be there. You will always have the value. And then your worth always exists, no matter your income, the vacations you take, your relationship status, the number of your friends, your religious views, or your political orientation, or your waistline, sis. Worth always exists, and your value never runs out. So listen, if I couldn't preach and teach that enough in the last sort of 20 minutes, the reminder is that you have power in your value. And whether you are bringing something to the table because you decide to, whether you are invited to the table because someone saw something in you, or whether you're creating your own table and just laying your platform and your foundation and sharing it with the world. Know that who you are in all three places is the same. What you choose to bring to a table on your own, I still bring strategy. I still bring knowledge. I still bring wisdom. I still bring prayer. If I'm invited to the table, it's probably because I was doing the things that could bring me to a table and they saw it and wanted it. Therefore, they brought me to the table. And then when there's a table out there that I don't see that quite fits what I want to do, that I can join forces with, i.e., the Soul Care series, I create the table. This is why we have the Soul Care series that's kicking off tonight, because I'm creating a table. I'm creating a space for people, for women specifically, to really come in and really get their soul healed so that they don't have to continue to operate in different ways. This is why I do that. This is it. So whoever you show up when you bring something to the table, whoever you show up when you're invited to the table, and whoever you are when you create the table, the value is all the same. And the worth will always be there. Always. You hear me? Always. So, as you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen, I am launching the Soul Care Success Series. This is a 4-part masterclass series. It is being taught by 4 different amazing women each Wednesday night for the rest of November. And it is absolutely free to attend, but you do have to register, right? And so in order to register, you'll go to the website that's coming up. I put it in the chat. It is bit.ly/soul care success. Go ahead, lock in your seat. I promise you, you don't want to miss it. Tonight, we are kicking off with Yoli Marshall, and we are talking about harmony over havoc. Like, quit the whole balancing act, right? You standing there, you trying to do this and you trying to do that, because if something fall off here, you got to pick it up here, and you'll constantly do that. And she's like, nah, sis, nah, fam, that's not what we doing. We trying to create harmony. We want to ebb and flow. We want to go through it. So there's nothing that you're losing or trying to hold up, because trying to do this balancing act is exhausting. It's exhausting. I promise you it is. It's exhausting. So join us tonight. We're not going to be, it's not an extensive, 2-hour thing. It is literally an hour, if that. Come get your nuggets, come get your wisdom, come get your soul poured into, a new way of thinking, a new way of being. You need to be in the room. You absolutely have to be in the room. Free masterclass series, 4 parts, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you want to register at bit.ly/soul care success. So this has been another edition of Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. I am Ayana Henderson, the emotional healing coach, founder of Warrior Womanhood and Soul Care Success Academy. I hope to see you inside of the Soul Care Success series happening tonight. I can't wait to see you on the inside. And otherwise, I will see you on next Wednesday, where we're continuing the Power of Your Value series. And now we're going to start peeling back. How do I know what's important to my core? Like, how do I know what my own core values are, or what I value? Now that I know that I have inherent value and what I bring, what is it about those things that I actually value that made me value life a little bit more? And what are those things, right? So we're going to be peeling back. What are our core values? How do we even get it? What questions do I even have to ask myself to figure this out? And then once we do that, I'll walk you through a quick exercise on how to create boundaries around your core values. And we'll get to that as well. And then I also have a masterclass specialist who's coming to talk about your boundaries and why setting them up and bossing them up is absolutely crucial. So again, link for tonight, if you want to join us, which you should, is bit.ly/soul care success. And it is the Soul Care Success series. So until then, I will see you later tonight on the inside of the masterclass. And I will also see you next Wednesday for Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all next week.